So traders, what I want to do in today's video is I want to talk to you about what I believe is going to be the from now through to 2030, what I believe is going to be some of the greatest investments that we can be making to give us the potential of adding an extra 6 figures, or if you are in a good position where it could actually add an extra 7 or more figures to your bottom line. And I know that sounds airy-fairy, but I really just want you to share. I really want you to sit back and just have a listen to some few things that I want to share with you today. And hopefully this is going to help you out. So let's get straight into it. Don't place a trade based on what you're seeing in this video, because there is no guarantees of making a profit in the market. It takes you a long time to become a good trader. So this video here is just to educate you to become a much better trader. Alrighty, traders. So I do believe the next recession that is coming, and we all know it's coming, is going to produce one of the greatest buying opportunities we've ever seen. And so let me have a bit of a deep dive into what I just said there to really help you guys out. Now, guys, I'm also let you know that that $4 Master Trader bundle ends today, midnight my time. So this is the last chance to get access to that. So let's actually have a look at this here. So right now this is not short-term analysis, right? This is not me doing that short-term and technical analysis. This is looking at, okay, where do we position ourselves? What's likely to come over from now through to the end of the decade? How can we look into the future that start to plot and plan when are the best times for us to pounce into the markets to add 6, 7 figures and possibly even 8 figures if you're ready for that. And obviously even more, right? So what do we look through there? So the first thing that I do say is this, is that where are we in the cycle of things? So I'm looking at the GDXJ right now because I want to share something with you here when it comes to that. So the way that I look at the actual, the cycle of the way that things are working right now is this. Is that, again, I'm not looking at the GDXJ, I'm just using this as a screen, right? So the whole thing about what's happening right now in the markets is we're going through a recession, right? So look at this here. So we actually had, let's sort of actually plan this out here a bit more, okay? So we actually had, let's actually do this here. So let's actually just do this, right? Let's actually just make a little bit of a blank screen here. So there we go. So what do we have, right? So we had the 2020 debacle, right? The 2020, the debacle, right? So some of them it wasn't a debacle. So we had the 2020, obviously the pandemic, and we had all that sort of stuff, right? And obviously the market actually had that, the pandemic, obviously the market actually had the bit of a move. And then what do they do, right? They actually went and did QE, right? QE right here. And as you know, the QE was like what 5, 6, 7 trillion, something like that. Anyway, I don't know the exact number, right? But it was like an atomic bomb into the markets. Okay, so this is what the market actually came down and did that. Now, what was the side effect of this actually happening? Right? Let's just call it 5 trillion to be. Let's call it 5 trillion to be on the side of what I'm trying to share with you. Okay, so please just bear with me here. Okay. 5 trillion. When that happened, the following 1 to 2 years, what was the effect of that, right? The cause was what? QE, right? Atomic bomb into the markets. Bear with me here for a minute, okay? I'm trying to paint a big picture here for you. So we had that. That was the cause. What was the effect? High inflation. But then what also actually happened, right? We had much more lower interest rates again. We had low interest rates. We had high inflation, okay. And then what actually happened, right? As an effect, everything actually made a big move. Gold actually made a big move. The metals actually made a big move. And then oil made a big move. Commodity prices made a big move, right? Especially the commodity prices. The things that mattered the most to inflation, guess what? They went absolutely just crazy, right? So bear with me for a minute here. Bear with me. So that actually went crazy. So did the stock market and so on and so forth, right? So that's what happened. We had a massive reflation of asset prices because of what? The QE. Now, a lot of people right now are saying, when's the best time to be buying the markets? So what actually happened to the market, right? The market did this. The market actually took off like a rocket, right? For 1 to 2 years, we actually went through an incredible boom, right? but what's been happening lately? We've been doing this, right? We've been coming down, 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 and we're roughly 50%, maybe a little bit more, especially the Nasdaq pulling back through here, right? So bear with me through it. So we're doing that right now. So as we sit here right now, we can see that we're having a bit of a pullback because of the inflation, because of how much they're pulling the rates up. Now, we may be getting ready to go into recession. I know some people say we are in recession and so on and so forth, right? But we may be getting ready for that to happen. But we do know that we may also be getting ready for another rally in the stock market, right? We need to be open-minded to that on the short-term analysis to what's actually happening there, right? So the big picture is this. Over the next 1 to 2 years, right, 2023 and 2024 are probably going to be a recessionary time. Again, I don't know when exactly. And that recessionary time is what? Right, obviously when when unemployment starts to pick back up, when things start to pick back up, when things are actually happening through there, right? And then we have what? And then the recession is going to cause what? A complete global bust, right? Things are going to go haywire, big time, right? The property market, stock market, things are going to go haywire. Even the crypto market, there's going to be massive washing away effect at that time, right? So let's just call this anywhere between 23. Right? Now, I'm just using this as an example. We're probably going to be much lower than that, but call this 2023 to 24. With me so far? Okay. So again, we're probably going to be much lower than this actually in the stock market, but 2023, 2024. At this particular time, what's going to happen is they're going to do the exact same thing as they did back here. What do they do back here? They did the cause. The cause was QE. But this time, if they did 5 trillion last time, again, I think it was close to 7 trillion, but let's just call it 5 trillion. Over here, because there's going to be so much pain in the markets, they're going to come out with not 5 trillion, but probably more like 20 to 25 trillion. I know that sounds crazy, 20 to 25 trillion. Why? Because there's going to be so much pain. Now, if you actually look through history, a lot of people have been thinking that right now that the QT, the tightening of effect of that is starting, and they're not going to do any more QE ever again, right? I believe there's one more big bang. And if you actually look at the QE packages from when they started to when they get now, every single really big major QE package was larger than the other one, right? So you can see it's just a sequence of things. Recession, QE, boom, bust, recession, boom, bust, and so on and so forth, right? You just see the cycle of what's happening. So what's happening right now is that we're going through that period. So over the next couple of years, we are going to see there's going to become a time where the government comes out and puts an absolute atomic bomb into these markets. Now, think about this for a minute, okay? If 5 trillion last time did what it did to inflation, commodity prices, stock market, etc., then what do you think is going to happen if they do 20 to 25 trillion? That's right. Inflation is not going to be where it is right now. We are going to see a massive spike in inflation. Massive spike in inflation. And we are going to see one of the biggest inflation spikes that we've actually ever seen, right? So by looking at this here, we can now start to say, okay, then probably 2023, 2024, there's going to come a period of time when they do this. When they do this, the cause, then we need to say, okay, what is the side effect of that? Now, the side effect of the cause of that is, okay, what are the assets that are mostly affected by the inflation? And this is when I do believe we're going to see a $10,000 gold. We're going to see mining stocks up anywhere between 500 to 1,000% move in the mining sector. Again, that's where, like I always believe, on the other side of that, okay? Now, let me bring this back for a minute. If we're now into 23, 24, 25 period, then what I'll be doing is I'll be starting to look to buy options in some of the mining sector, but as much time as possible, right? I'm hoping I can buy as much time as possible, because I do see by 2030, inflation is going to be massively high. We're going to see massive inflation rates. and we're probably likely to see by 2030 the mining sector up anywhere between 500 and 1,000% increase. Now, if I am right by that, literally a $10,000 or $20,000 out of the money option, which I'm risking, I'm risking the whole lot there. A $20,000 or so position in that move could literally mean $2, $3, $4 million, maybe even more in profits by the time that happens. Are you with me so far? Right? Because the leverage of options, especially if you buy way out of the money where you're risking 100%, but you buy as much time as possible, those options that are worth 5 and 10 cents could now be worth $10, $20, $30 by the time that happens, right? So I'm trying to plan a picture with you here, how I'm seeing things and how I'm planning things. So by the time 2030 comes around, you can ride that inflationary asset, right? We don't have to wait for, we don't have to, so, okay, what's going on here right now? So in a big nutshell there, that's what's probably likely to happen. Then come 2030, yes, that's when things are going to get really, really, really haywire. We're going to go through massive debt defaults. That's when that's when the big pain, I believe, is. And the whole global reset, you can see it's like they're setting this up by design, right? You can just see what's going to happen. It's sort of like their playbook. Right now they're pushing, and so therefore probably when the recession does start, maybe already in a recession right now. Every recession lasts roughly 1 year, right? It may be sooner than that, but when it actually does start, we're going to see that. Then there's going to come a point in period of time where they're going to start to see that things everything's falling apart, and then they need to step in with, again, not 5 trillion, but 20 to 25 trillion. And if what they did last time produced what it actually produced, what do you think is going to happen when it's 5 times as bigger, right? So the good thing, as I said before, the good thing about what I just said there is that we can be on the right side of this reflation, just like they did back in COVID, right? COVID went big crash, massive atomic bomb into the markets. People got checks. People got checks and so on and so forth, and everything went crazy. Everything went absolutely crazy. And guess what? That's what's going to happen again. So right now, that is the playbook of what's going to happen, right? And if you look at that from a cycle perspective, right now the cycle perspective is that as the market comes down to 2023, look at those things that are majorly impacted, such as commodity prices, right? Look at the commodity prices. Oh my goodness, just like major increases. We're going to see big moves. And that's where once again, especially when we get towards the 2030 mark, that's why I see a $10,000 probably plus gold by 2030, is because that's when the global, that's when the US are going to be major debt defaults into the I won't get into too much of that, but basically they're going to go into so much defaults. Defaults are going to be galore on that there. And that's when people are going to really run to gold, right? Especially when they start to see this happening, but gold will start to pick up before then, and you'll start to see gold go through an extraordinary quality move. So that's where, for me personally right now, guys, I'm already building and have been building a position in the metals and the mining sector. And I continue to build that because I see where we are going, right? Who knows? We could actually go through a very big move in the metals and miners, and then a big pullback in the bust, and then another big boom, right? So this happens over time. When I say massive increases, as you can see, a 500%, 1,000% increases especially in some of the actual, especially the junior miner stocks, right? And this is where I look at the actual, one of my babies has always been the GDXJ. And I see right now the GDXJ, I actually see a $200 plus GDXJ coming by this time right here. So if I'm actually looking at the markets here, if I do a little horizontal line at 2030, right there, then I see this happening. This is what I see happening moving forward. I see this happening right there, right? And again, this is years here, right? So, but once again, that's where I'm personally hoping and praying that we don't make big moves over the next couple of years in the mining sector. Even though I am heavily long in the mining sector, I'm hoping for something like this to happen, right? Into 2023, 24, 25, and then start to break out. Because guess what? If I can buy options here at 2026, and I can buy as much time as possible, hopefully to 2030, then I know if we start to break out here, then we're going to have a good couple of years of a big move like that. And if I can buy options, when the GDXJ is at 50 and I can start to buy 200 plus options at really, really cheap prices, that's when, once again, as I said before, you can start to turn a small amount of money because you are prepared and you're waiting and you're watching, you're checking the markets out, and again, this is where you literally can turn a small amount of money into multiple seven figures, just like people were doing in the crypto market, right? The crypto is an NFT. Oh my goodness, young kid did this, young kid did that. If you're young right now and you are saving money and you wanting to be getting involved with these markets, guess what? Now is the time to be educating yourself as much as possible. Now is the time to be really learning the art. So not only trading perspective, which is what I teach, especially in that package below or that bundle below, but not only from a trading perspective, because I trade for income, but then I'm also looking at the macro picture of what I'm speaking about right now. And the macro picture is very, very, very clear what's happening. I'm just hoping that we get something like this in the mining sector before we start to break out, because once it starts to break out, we're going to make some massive, extraordinary quality move. Right? And as I said before, if you start to do a $10,000 or $20,000 position, that could be a multiple seven-figure profit by the time we start, by the time we actually get up to 200 plus movement there, right? And you could also apply this to some of the mining companies and so on and so forth from there. Now, when I say that, my goal has always been, I'm just going to let you guys know my goal, right? My goal is to make $30 million by 2030. My goal, that's my goal, 20. And I know that might sound crazy to you guys, but guess what, guys? Think big, don't think small, think big. Put it out there to the universe. I have no idea how that's going to happen. My job is not to know how. My job is to say, okay, then that is what I'm putting out there. That's what I'm putting out there. And I'm going to continue to work hard on the trading perspective. So I trade for my income, but I'm also going to work really, 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 really hard of what I'm doing right now to make sure that I'm positioning myself. So when we do see things pop, like I'm talking about right now, with the next QE and the next recessions, and I see things happening over the next 8 years, I can position myself to make massive, massive moves. So if and as I said before, if I start to do something like even $100,000 position here, right? If a $20,000 position can start to give me $2 or $3 million, right? If I can get just say 20K turns into 2 million, right? Again, this is if it does work out like this. What's 100K going to do? You see what I'm saying there? So who knows? I don't know how that's going to happen. But again, guys, please, what I want you to do is I want you to be thinking big as well too, right? Think big. Do not think small. Because if I get to 2030 and I've achieved only half of that, guess what? I'm still a happy camper. But reach for the moon. Reach for the stars. Reach for God. Reach for God, right? Because God is there helping you out. God is there showing you the way. And God will help you. And this is what I see through here, okay? There's got to be major, major, major movements. And that's the reason why, guys, I'm not saying go out there right now and the bottoms in the stock market, the bottoms in the mining sector. No. But as things continue to play out, as things continue to move forward, there's going to be such incredible opportunities. Same for the crypto market. The crypto market, I believe, is going to have a massive washing away effect. But then the crypto market, especially for some of you kids, it's going to be one of the best opportunities you're going to do for the next 20 years, right? Especially because look what actually happened back in the internet days, right? The tech days. If you look at something like the crypto market right now is a representation of a split image of what actually happened back in the tech days, right? Tech boom, tech bust. But what actually happened through there, right? There was out of that became what? Out of that became major movements in the markets, right? Especially when we come down to things like, if you have a look at, say, something like look at this here. Look what actually happened here, right? Meta actually came down from 2023, and then it made all this way 2013, and then it made us move back up to there. See that through there, right? Look at this thing through here. Right, very, 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 very big moves that happen through there. If you look at something like an Amazon, right? Now we know Amazon's also gone through major splits as well too, right? But look at this here. Amazon was where? This is what I'm saying. Amazon was back here. We're going to see things that we're going to find pennies on the dollar, and Amazon was trading at 11 cents. right? Even 10, 20 cents. But guess what happened? Many booms and bust and booms and bust. Guess what actually happened after the tech boom and tech bust? And this is where I see, this is the same thing I see with the crypto market, right? We're going through this period right here, and this is the weekly chart on Amazon, but Amazon's a really good example of what I see happening over the next 20 years. We're going to see a big bust in the crypto market, and that's where I personally will be coming up and scooping up and having a 20-30 view, because I'll be buying things at 50 cents, and then guess what? As things continue to forward over the next couple of decades, guess what? That 50 cent move, that 50 cent or 20 cent or 30 cent or that $1 purchase is gonna equal, an over 1,000% move in the actual markets itself. Makes sense? So that's what I actually see happening when it comes to the crypto market. So for you kids out there, if you're in your 20s, I strongly suggest you look at some of the stuff that I'm saying right now. And even if you want to be adding some extra zeros, then it's important to, one, learn how to trade the markets from a trading perspective, for trading for income. And that's what I do, right? I have my patterns, I have my systems. But then on top of all of that, understand what's happening with the crypto market, right? Because it's the same thing. It's the same thing happening again and again. And you can see what's going to happen, right? There's going to be a lot of probably top 10, 20 cryptos there, and probably 20 to 30% of them are going to be a major part of our lives in 20, 30 years time frame, right? So that's what's going to happen. And so I really hope that this whole thing through here, this whole thing we're looking at through here, when it comes to inflation and so on and so forth. And as you can see, like the same thing for gold, right? Gold is having a bit of a pullback right now, and it's probably going to pull back even more. But there's going to come a time when gold actually starts to make a massive, massive, massive move. And if you watched Hidden Secrets of Money by Mike Maloney, I think it's series episode number 7, you'll be able to start to see all of that come into play. So this is the big, big, big picture here that I see coming right now. And the whole theme about this is this one thing. We are headed into recession. We just don't know when. We could be there now. It could be next year. It could be 2024. But I'm pretty confident over the next couple of years, we're going to see that recession. In that recessionary period, there's going to be a global freak out. And they're going to and because there's going to be so much money, they're going to come in with 4 to 5 times as big of a QE as they did back in 2020. And if we only look at from, if you do the same thing, you're going to get the same result effect. But what happens if you do more of the same thing, right? So if you did 5 trillion over here, and that was the effect, what happens if you do more, much more of that same thing? Well, you're going to get what? Much more of the same effect from the cause. The cause was the printing, and the effect is what actually happened afterwards.